This video is market research. We pulled sell-through data on men's jeans, and 10 brands are clearing inventory faster than supply. Not one-off flips, not cherry-picked listings, brand-level demand. What I want to do is show you why that demand exists, and more importantly, what you should be looking for while you're out thrifting. I want to start with Origin Maine because this brand teaches you how to look at sell-through rate. Origin doesn't have hype, it doesn't have trends, but it's clearing inventory at 163% sell-through rate. That tells you the buyer already knows what they want before they search. Let's take a look at some solds. So for Origin Maine, there are 70 currently listed and 123 have sold. Scrolling down, you can see the prices, not like crazy high prices. Research showed that the ASP was right in the $45 plus shipping range. So let's take a look and see what we should be looking at here. So this is actually a brand patch that I'm not familiar with. However, sometimes it'll be that leather with this logo, and sometimes it'll have Origin, sometimes it won't. But just know Fieldcraft Survival is an Origin Maine line that can do pretty well. Origin is an excellent brand to be on the lookout for. So again, you're looking for this Fieldcraft Survival patch or this Origin patch. They do always have some embroidery opposite of the patch. The Delta is a really good example. So this is the Delta. You can kind of see the patch there. Let's see if they have a better picture of it. So the patch is their logo that I showed earlier there, and then it typically says Origin Made in USA beneath it. And then on the opposite side, sometimes it'll have this D68. That means the style name is the Delta 68. And on the inner tag, you're going to see Made in America, and that's the tag that looks like on the inner waistband. What not to pick up in Origin: if they're completely destroyed, I'm not going to be picking up Origin. If they're priced at, 15, 20 higher than that, I'm probably not going to pick it up. Some of their stuff is Selvedge and sells for a little bit higher, some of it's not. However, most Origin Maine stuff is a pretty good pickup. It's not super common to find, but it's definitely good to know if you do happen to come across it. That was solid, but this next one is the strongest signal in the entire data set. Keams Ranch isn't just selling, it's draining inventory at a 221% sell-through rate. That only happens when buyers aren't shopping, they're replacing. Let's look at solds. So as you see, we have 149 currently listed for Keams Ranch men's jeans. 331 have sold for that 221% sell-through rate. Obviously, lots are going to go for more money, and new is going to go for more money. Let's click into a listing and see what we're looking for when we're out at the thrift. Keams Ranch is typically pretty easy to spot in men's, especially because they have a bright red patch. They do occasionally have a leather patch, and sometimes this patch is missing, so it's important to understand that this Longhorn logo on the pocket is always on their jeans. They have all of their information printed on the inside pocket, except for the brand or the style name is always embroidered on the back waistband. Some of the lines you can look for it are the James, the Dylan. There's a few others that are really good. What not to pick up in Keams Ranch: I'm going to be picking up most of Keams Ranch for $10 or less. Unless they're completely destroyed or heavy distressing and priced up to $15 or $20. Other than that, I'm picking up Keams Ranch because it sells yesterday. Freenote proves price doesn't scare educated buyers. 158% sell-through rate and an ASP of $140. Let's take a look. So as you can see, there's 105 currently active for Freenote. These are typically Selvedge jeans, and 147 currently sold. This most recent sold listing sold for $100. They are the Portola Selvedge jean. And a lot of these Made in USA brands, it's really important to understand that they're easy to pass on at the thrift store because they don't look like a whole lot. They oftentimes don't have thick stitching like Rock Revival and that type of stuff. And yeah, so like the back patch on Freenote is typically black on black, pretty hard to see. There's absolutely zero contrast stitching on these at all. They are Selvedge, and these are Portola Selvedge denim, which is a line of denim. It's also primarily used by Freenote. What not to pick up in Portola or in Freenote? I don't know. I'm picking up pretty much everything unless they have like a giant hole in the crotch or something. Probably pay up $35, $40 for a lot of them. even in pre-owned condition. As you see, these are selling for well over $100, up near $200, $190, $175. So yeah, keep your eye out for Freenote. Railcar is lower volume, but 154% sell-through rate means high intent buyers. Again, just like a lot of the other brands, Railcar can be relatively easy to miss, especially if you don't see that they're Selvedge. 93 currently listed, 142 sold. So what are you going to be looking for in the thrift to not miss Railcar? Okay, so as you can see, Railcar would be pretty easy to miss in the thrift. There's nothing really substantial telling you, hey, this is worth money, unless you happen to get lucky and this patch is on the near side to you. So make sure you're checking both sides as you're flipping through. These will feel stiffer. Selvedge denim, it generally feels stiffer. The patch just says Railcar Fine Goods. The inner label, Railcar Fine Goods, made in USA. They typically print their stuff on the inner pocket. They look very basic. They would be very easy to pass in the thrift, so be paying attention. You don't want to miss something like this. Bravestar shows you what happens when a brand teaches their buyers to think about fits instead of brands. 148% sell-through. This isn't hype buying. This is menu-based buying. Let's look at some solds. So Bravestar, 222 listed, 354 sold for that 148% sell-through rate. Bravestar is just one of those brands that is going to sell quite well for you. Very plain looking jeans. They do have a back patch that's relatively easy to spot. However, if that's on the opposite side of the rack again, you're going to miss it. The inner waistband, nice upside down picture here, but it has that same Bravestar with the shooting star logo or whatever you want to call it, and a couple of buffalo getting ready to fight. Bravestar is always going to be Selvedge. These sold for $200, guys, with no picture showing Selvedge denim. So, yeah, Bravestar, BOLO. Imogene and Willie show how storytelling and fit work together. 141% sell-through rate. Let's take a look. So as we see, there's 207 currently listed, 294 currently sold for that 141% sell-through rate. And once again, nothing spectacular about these jeans to tell you to pick them up. There's no back patch and there's no contrast stitching really. The only thing that you can see is this little plus sign, which is the whole Imogene and Willie part. And then the back patch, that's the style name. The Barton here, with size 32, over the pocket area. And then the brand, Imogene and Willie. Imogene and Willie is a big BOLO brand in pretty much anything you find. I've sold a t-shirt used for like 55, 60 bucks, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but if you see Imogene and Willie, definitely going to want to stop, check comps. Ariat is important because it proves this isn't niche or fragile demand. 123% sell-through rate at massive scale. This is workwear, ranch wear, rodeo wear. Buyers who wear these hard and have to replace them. 9,900 currently listed for Ariat. Most brands, once we get up to 10,000 listings, you're going to be looking at, 50% sell-through rate or so. Ariat jeans is an exception. 11,000 currently sold for Ariat jeans. And this is across, I looked at M2, M4, M5, M6, FR, all of them are 100% or better or close to 100%. The ASP is considerably lower than some of these other brands. However, they can sell for pretty decent money. So let's take a look at what we're looking for with Ariat jeans. To me, Ariat's pretty easy to spot. They typically have this Ariat across the coin pocket. This is an FR pair because this is black instead of leather. They always have this back patch. Sometimes it's a lot smaller patch and Ariat is screen printed on the back waistband. Regardless, they always have their model number, M2, 4, 5, whatever. And if they're FR, that adds a bit to it. These actually aren't FR. The rebar apparently has that black patch as well. The stitching on the back typically has something similar to this. There's a lot of different styles they use, but once you get used to seeing Ariat, they all kind of have a theme. And they almost all have this loop lock thing. I don't even know what that means, but it's always there. So Ariat's definitely a brand. I pick up most Ariat jeans as long as they're not overpriced. This one sold for $25, but that's not a very good example. For example, this pair sold for a best offer on 40, I'm going to guess 30, 35, and are not very good condition. So they will still sell. I won't pay more than $10 for them. $10.80 is what my thrift store price is at for regular price, but these are typically priced at $25, and I do end up having to pass them at $25 because it just doesn't leave the margin, even though 100% sell-through rate's there. Double RL tells you what premium buyer certainty looks like. 100% sell-through rate with $150 ASP. There's some important things to keep in mind though when you're comping double RL. So let's take a look at that real quick. Double RL, we see there's 1,000 currently listed, and then we click over here and there's only 852 sold. So that's an 85% sell-through rate. But is it? Let's go ahead and go back and let's sort by lowest first and look at all these sellers that are selling stuff that is not double RL that shows up in the double RL search. Double RL. This is not double RL closet. Earl jeans is about the farthest thing from double RL I've ever seen. And there's a bunch of Earl jeans showing up. Vintage Ralph Lauren is not double RL. Double RL. This is not double RL. Whatever the hell this is not double RL. I think that is fake Polo Ralph Lauren even. Most certainly that is completely fake. But anyway, moral of the story is double RL search is very littered with non-double RL jeans. So that's why I went ahead and included them. I think if you got rid of all that clutter, it would be closer to 100% sell-through rate. So what are you looking for in the thrift? Again, double RL would be easy to pass if you're not paying attention. I mean, not super easy, but they're not super flashy. Like they're not Genkos or anything like that. This is one of their patches, not their normal patch. Their normal patch just has this R with the backwards R and the L. This is just a different line within double RL that sells exceptionally well. The inner tags, there is almost always a double RL embroidered on the coin pocket. And then here's another pair. Again, they look very generic. This is their more common patch that you'll find. And again, that coin pocket embroidery, information on the pocket there, double RL. Double RL is one of them brands that honestly, I would pick these up. If they're regularly priced, I'd pick them up if they're completely destroyed. I would pay probably up to 35, 40, 45, 50. I guess I'm gonna be an auctioneer for a second there. Depending on condition, I'd probably pay $50 for these. In used condition, just in good used condition. If they're distressed, I'd probably want to stay back $25 or so, but you're going to be hard pressed selling these for less than $50. Even if they're completely destroyed, you're going to get $35, $40 because people want to craft with the patches and the high quality denim and stuff. Double RL is almost always a pickup. Cinch overall sits at 78% sell-through rate, which is pretty solid. But here's what matters. If you know the lines, you're grabbing winners. So the white label within Cinch, there are currently 804 listed, 959 sold for, I don't know, 110% sell-through rate. ASP is going to be significantly lower. Typically, I see these going for in the $30 to $40 range. I pay $10 is going to be my max I'm going to pay for these ever, even in good condition. If there's significant heel drag, I'm not picking them up. If there's significant distressing, I'm not picking these up. These aren't something that are fashion forward, so fashion distressing is not going to help you sell these. That's what that white label looks like. It's on that coin pocket. Cinch generally has on the back waistband their brand embroidered in. Commonly with their newer lines, the Cinch Ian, for example, Ian is also embroidered in right there. And I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Like I said, I'll pick these up for $10, flip them pretty quick for 35 or 40, and use that money to buy some more. Buck Mason jeans have an overall sell-through rate of 74%. But if you know what you're looking for, the Selvedge variety has 154% sell-through rate. Buck Mason currently has 51 listed, and you can see that I have this narrowed down to Selvedge, and 83 have sold. And again, Buck Mason's one of the easiest ones that they don't look great. I would pick up their non-Selvedge variety too. 74% is a solid sell-through rate. So as you can see, these are just really basic looking jeans. The back, there's no back patch. There's no contrast stitching, but they are Selvedge. That's the tag you get. It's a tiny little tag in the back, and it could be cut out. So often you can look on the inside, and if you see Selvedge there, you better pick them up, even if it doesn't say Buck Mason down here on the bottom of the pocket. The ASP is a bit lower. They sell for between $45 and $60. A lot like the other brands, you can have some minimal wear, some fade, but a ton of distressing people aren't going to want. A lot of heel drag I would probably leave behind, and I'd pay $15, $20 for a good pair of Buck Mason Selvedge jeans. This is what sell-through actually teaches you. Not what's trendy, but where buyers already exist. If you start sourcing with demand instead of guessing, thrifting gets a lot easier. If you're following for the 15K a month journey, hit subscribe.